it works in lots of different ways, especially children, because I started skiing at school on a school ski trip. And I had a dream when I was 8 years old to go to Olympic Games, and I made my dream come true. And so that kind of resonates with a lot of people, because
like
8 years old,
everything.
you've always got dreams and ambitions. And I just try and say, hold on to that dream, and who knows? One day it might just come true. So that's really nice. And it's not about winning. It's not your usual sporting story where a child has got a talent and he's nurtured to the nth degree and then goes to the games and wins a gold medal. This is completely different. And it also shows that success comes in many, many different forms. It's not just necessarily about winning a gold medal or making millions of pounds. It's, for some people, getting out of bed in the morning is a success. And so I try and put that across as well. And so I think lots of people can gather inspiration from the film, especially. They've done such a good job in the film. Much more than I ever could put across. They say a picture paints 1,000 words, but the movie is just incredible. It makes me laugh, makes me cry, and it's a really, really good inspirational film. And I just sort of work on the back of that and try and promote the message that the film has done for my life. Because when I jumped in Calgary, some of the newspapers were quite derogatory, really. Every time they wrote about me, it was the flop, the failure of the Olympics, super flop, that kind of thing. And then when the film came out, people were saying, oh my God, this is such a great film, and I didn't realise what you had to go through to go to those Olympic Games, because they didn't really come across 28 years ago. So now it's really good in that people are getting the true, a much truer account of what it took for me to get to those Olympic Games 28 years ago. Was because I was a poor athlete, I didn't have much money, I couldn't afford to have one coach and have one coach all the way through training for the Olympic Games. So I trained with lots of different teams. It might have been a local school team, or a regional team, or a national team. And whatever team was there jumping at the same time that I was, because I was on my own, they would say, oh, come and join us, come and train with us. And so I used to train with lots and lots of different trainers. But in the movie, I had about 20, 25 coaches, but in the movie we could only have one coach. Was it something I said? But they couldn't have 20 coaches in a 95-minute film. So they put those 25 coaches into one character, which was Hugh Jackman. And he was kind of an amalgamation of all my coaches. And they didn't really show many of the stories that happened to me on my way to the Calgary Olympics. I started ski jumping. For instance, they didn't show this in the film, but I started ski jumping. Well, I actually started skiing at school, just like this, at school just like this. And we went on a school ski trip. And I loved it. Loved going away, loved being with my schoolmates, and loved skiing down the mountain. And I came from Cheltenham, and we were lucky. We had Gloucester Ski Centre very close to my house, and it was one of the biggest dry ski slopes in the country. And that's why I put on a pair of skis for the very first time at Gloucester Ski Centre. And I loved the sport so much. I'm still just as excited to put a pair of skis on now as when I started 39 years ago, when I started skiing. So I really still love the sport. And I started doing what we call alpine ski racing, slalom and giant slalom. Do you watch Ski Sunday at all? You do? So yeah, you'll probably notice slalom and giant slalom and downhill. That's what I used to do. And I got very good. I got into the England squad, and I got into the British squad. I was racing internationally at slalom and giant slalom. I was in the Olympic squad for Sarajevo in 1984 as a downhill racer, as an alpine skier, but didn't make the team to go to the Olympics. So then I decided to go to America and carry on racing. And when I was in America, I ran out of money, and I couldn't carry on racing. It was too expensive. So I looked for something cheaper to do, and I saw the ski jumps. And when I went to have a look at the ski jumps, not only were they huge, the biggest ski things, the biggest ski jumps I've ever seen, they were massive, because I'd never seen a ski jump close at hand. But I also realised that Britain have had lots of alpine skiers, we've had lots of cross-country skiers, and we've even had quite a few biathlon skiers, which is cross-country and the shooting. But we've never had a ski jumper. So there was a bit of a gap in the market. So I decided I'd have a go. And I thought, if I can crack this sport without cracking my bones in the process, I might be able to do something with it. And so I started ski jumping. Now, you don't just grab a pair of skis and you go to the top of a 90 metre, which was one of the big ones, and go down and hope for the best. You actually start on very, very small jumps, and then you work your way up to the bigger jumps. So you can start on as little as a 5 metre ski jump, and then if you're brave enough, you can move up to the 10 metre ski jump, which you jump 10 metres through the air, and then a 15 metre ski jump, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to the 90 and the 120 metre, which is what you see at the Olympic Games. And depending on how brave you are, because for every guy that reaches the top of a 120 metre ski jump, there's probably 4,000 or 5,000 guys that don't make it. They bottle out, they get nervous, they get scared, or they fall over and break something and they decide they don't want to do it anymore. So, so it's a very special group that actually managed to go off the top of a 120 metre ski jump, because they are very, very big jumps. So I started in Lake Placid and started jumping there. I borrowed some equipment. There was a shed at the bottom of the jump, and I just sorted out some equipment and tried it on, and it fitted, so I started jumping. And then I went to Switzerland to start jumping there, and I met some of the other nations of ski jumping, and they used to chip in with some equipment, because I was a poor athlete. I couldn't afford to buy any ski jumping equipment. So different teams. I met the Italian team, who gave me a brand new helmet and goggles, and I put that on. I jumped a little bit better. Then the Austrian team came along. They gave me a new pair of skis, because my old skis were so old. I jumped a bit better still. And then the West German team came along. They gave me a ski jumping outfit, a ski jumping suit. I put that on. I jumped a little bit better still. And then the Swiss national team came with rolls, cheese rolls, bananas. So they used to feed me as well. And all I wanted to do was try to get to the Olympic Games and become Britain's first ever Olympic ski jumper. And I said I had no money, and I was sleeping in the car, and all these people were giving me equipment. And then I met some of the other nations of ski jumping. I went to St. Moritz and did some ski jumping there. And it was in St. Moritz that I realised how painful ski jumping was. And I landed one day on a jump, on a 90 metre, and as I landed, my ski jumping boots were made of leather. And as I landed, one of the leathers split, and I landed and fell back and twisted. And I used to have a big bottom jaw, and the first thing that hit the snow was my jaw, and I broke my jaw. Now, I couldn't afford any insurance, so I couldn't go to the hospital. So I went back to the hostel where I was staying. I grabbed a pillowcase and I wrapped it around my face, just so that I could hold my jaw in place. And I carried on jumping, because I was determined to make my first ever European Cup ski jumping event, and then a week later do my very first World Cup and be the first ever Brit to do World Cup ski jumping. But I did that, and I met some of the other nations of ski jumping. I met the Finns. Now, Finland dominated the sport of ski jumping. I'd like to say like England dominate football, but we don't dominate football now, do we? Yeah, Finland used to win all the World Cups. They were the best country in the world at ski jumping, and they invited me to train in Finland.